Hello there, and welcome back to Winning the Division, episode number 4, co-hosted by myself, Ryan Smith, and former NFL tight end and University of Florida tight end Ben Troupe. Ben, another week, and the NFL season keeps rolling on. We've got headlines, we've got transactions, and we've got another slate of games. But we're going to do the transactions and overreactions first today. I said we would start with a particular quarterback, but we're going to start actually with another one. Let's start with Tua. That happened the longest ago, so that's freshest in people's minds. Tua Tagovailoa injured on Thursday Night Football in the loss to the Buffalo Bills, and it's now his fourth concussion, dating back to his time in Alabama as well. So I'm just going to come out the front door and ask it. Does Tua need to retire? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you heard Mike McDaniel in his press conference. Everyone shouldn't be talking about Tua's future. They need to focus on the present and get him getting healthy, all of that jargon. But 4 concussions in 4 years, and the two in 2022, the one in 2020 at Alabama, and now 2024. That's a lot of concussions, short period of time, and the guy knows better. He needs to learn how to slide, and it's just tough to see that on a player like Tua, who's very likable. A lot of his teammates were just so devastated to see that. So what was your take on Tua's unfortunate injury, and does he need to retire?
Wow. Does Tua need to retire? When I saw it, it was hard to watch because the thing about when Tua gets his concussions, a lot of what we're seeing usually happens behind the scenes. A lot of what we're seeing, the symptoms and the things you go through with his hands, like in his arms.
The fencing posture, yeah.
Yeah. I say yes and no. Let me explain what I mean. Yes, do I think he need to retire? Yes. No, if he's not ready. Because it's going to come down to Tua. I guarantee you.
Correct. It's his career. That's correct.
But this is what's happening. Mike McDaniel showed you why it is extremely hard to be a head coach. Because they're asking them questions. What we don't understand is Mike McDaniel can answer the question yes or no. Just say something happens down the line that Tua keeps playing. And this is worst case scenario. I hope it don't happen. He gets another concussion. Now the concussions have retired him. The NFL is saying, look, man, that's really, really bad for our image. That's really, really bad for our reputation. That's really, really bad for the game. I think we need to talk to him about retiring. He could say they could, just because lawsuits happen all the time, and I know I'm just going on a rant. I think the thing about it is, Smitty, what makes this a difficult situation is 2 things. He's the quarterback, and he just signed a new deal. See, that money makes things complicated. I'm not saying they wouldn't do right by Tua if he decided to retire, but let me tell people something. Let me tell y'all something when it comes to NFL contract. Almost every single thing that can happen is in that contract. I'm talking about the language of it. But Tua's going to get some second and third opinions. Is he going to be on the football field for the next month? I would say no. Like, they're going to probably treat it like an IR situation. He's out for a month for this thing. His thing. What made the 2 things that made it hard on Thursday night was, one, that's another concussion by Tua, and the guy that hit him was Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin is the one that hit him.
That's right? Ironic.
And the thing about think about Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin, for those who don't remember, Damar Hamlin, safety for Buffalo Bills against Cincinnati, he's just laying there. Like, he's just laying there, go to commercial, laying there. What does it do to his mental health to be like, dude, look, I'm a safety. And when Damar Hamlin, when they cleared him to play football, Smitty, I was like, really? Y'all gonna clear this? Because sometimes, let me say this. Football, just as in life, sometimes we need to be protected from ourselves. Because when a lifelong dream wanting to play, but to me, I kind of feel like Antonio Pierce. I think he should walk away from the game because I'm telling you, Smitty, you're a father. I'm a father. You're a husband. I'm a husband. Your real life is gonna trump. It's gonna trump it. And I get it when you doing it. You think I got to maximize this opportunity. Tua, it ain't worth it because no one's gonna remember as much as we think. I just want to be remembered. Man, you made it. You went to Alabama, won a national championship, first round pick, signed a big, you know. And I think sometimes what you want to leave on this game, like your imprint, it's not that serious. Especially in a situation like Tua's, because Smitty, while a lot of players get concussions, we keep on seeing Tua's. Like his is magnified. It's almost like his brain is saying, hey man, this is me telling you we can't keep dealing. Because think about this. Quarterbacks only get hit once a week. They only get hit on Sundays. And you see them hits they have to take. So yes, I think he should, but if he don't think he should, which I think is the most dangerous part, because I think he ain't thinking with his head. Like literally, if he comes back, because concussions aren't something players are trying to do or get, but unfortunately, it's out of your control, you know, as fast as those guys be moving out there.
Yeah. I do think he should retire personally, but at the end of the day, like you said, he's going to probably be out a month, and he has to be cleared by an independent neurologist. That's what people don't are.
Oh yeah, and that neurologist
that has to happen.
Wow.
If Tua does not get cleared, he cannot come back. He has to get cleared in order to play.
Now you just said something. You said by a individual neurologist. Now here's the thing about that. That neurologist better not have. He or she don't need to have no ties to the Dolphins, because if he or she does, that's kind of fickle. The reason it's like this: if that neurologist has ties to the Dolphins, we don't know what their what is their motivation. As a person that's seen too many neurologists in my time, whenever neurologists have any ties to the NFL, they sway one way because they're getting paid by the team. But if it's an individual neurologist that have their own practice that don't care nothing about, having any ties to the NFL, I'm a trust neurologist either way. But think about that decision, though, Smitty. Think about it. If that neurologist, because whoever that neurologist is going to get real famous real quick, depending on what he or she says. If they say he can't come back, boom. If they say he can, but I think the thing about it is with Tua, all players in football, they only give you tests after a concussion. They don't give you a baseline test. There is no baseline, which I think is crazy. So wait a minute, you're gonna wait on me. Oh, and people, stop saying he had a head injury. He didn't have a head injury. He has a brain injury. That's the brain injury is a head injury is when you bumped your head on the cabinet this morning when you were trying to get your coffee mug out. A head injury is what happened to Tua. His arms, but I wish him nothing but the best, man. I know he's a father. I know he has children. I just hope that Tua really sits down with his wife and children and his family and look them in the eye and say, hey, man, if I got to walk away, number one, no one's going to bat an eye, right? Ain't nobody going, and number two, it's just football. Listen, people, we love it. Listen, I love it. Smitty love it. We love it. It's just football, man. It's not going to be the end-all, be-all. They'll play. Johnny Manziel, Mr. Johnny Football, lasted 2 years in the NFL. 2. And he took the world by storm at Texas A&M. Lasted 2 years. So it's Tua. Listen, man, we praying for you. We wishing you nothing but the best. But be careful, man, because once again, the guy that hit you, you bigger than him. Tua weighs more than DeMar Hamlin. Just imagine if that was a linebacker, man. I just hope he really, really take his time. You know what I'm saying? And Mike McDaniels, I respect what he did when he said, look, man, I ain't here to talk about that, man. I love it. I mean, they showed that picture of him kissing him when he was walking out. Hey, man, sometimes it's bigger than the sport. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, the reason I brought up Tua first is now we're going to pivot to the other big news of now what actually was today, as Tua was obviously earlier last week. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers are 0-2. They play in Las Vegas this coming Sunday against Gardner Minshew. And now starting for the Carolina Panthers is the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, former Cincinnati Bengal franchise quarterback. He is going to get the start for the Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers have benched Bryce Young. Now, as a fan of the Panthers for a long time, I will go ahead and say it. I'm going to just spill out a little bit here. I disagree and agree with the decision at the same time. And here's how I'll say it. Because I think you can look at the situation in two different ways. And please forgive me if I am ranting a little bit here. On the one hand, I think for Panther fans like myself, we were told that this year it's not going to be all about Bryce this year. And they have lived up to that so far. Dan Morgan and Dave Canales essentially today said, on the one hand, week 1 and week 2, it was pretty abysmal. And how can you really evaluate anyone on the depth chart, offensively, defensively, or special teams, with the type of quarterback output the Panthers were getting? On the other hand, it is asinine to kind of bench your quarterback 2 games into the season based on what you've invested and spent the offseason building things around him. Now, having said all that, I don't think and now, Ben, did you watch the press conference today with Dave Canales, or did you see some clips or anything?
No, I didn't see. No, I did not see the press conference. No.
Okay, I did not either, but I saw some clips. I don't think he's lying when he says he was excited to work with Bryce Young and he had a plan. I legitimately think he's telling the truth. Bryce has to play better. He has to take this time on the bench. He's got to learn. He's got to observe Andy Dalton. I personally believe, as a Panthers fan, Bryce Young should not have played last season. I think he should have sat. I think he should have deserved more time on the bench, but obviously that ship has sailed. Frank Reich, obviously the head coach last year, got fired. Now we're with Dave Canales. At the end of the day, I think it's this simple. Canales saw tape. He did what's best for the team. He pivoted, made a very tough choice. Bryce just happens to play the quarterback position. So obviously it's going to be a tough choice. And Dave Canales is trying to have this team be competitive. He's trying to make the best decision for the 52 other people on the roster. And he didn't want to risk losing the locker room or losing more games looking like a high school JV squad, which is essentially what the Panthers looked like the first 2 weeks, if I'm being quite honest. And I think it really comes down to 2 things. The Bryce Young confidence and swagger that we saw coming out of Alabama regressed these first 2 games. You did not see that these first 2 games. You saw sloppy footwork. The offensive line, which was upgraded, was giving him time. There was open receivers who were getting separation, unlike last year, which that did not happen outside of the occasional Adam Thielen separation. That was happening these first 2 games, and he was missing receivers. Some receivers were dropping some passes, sure, but as a whole, the line did protect him, and he was missing guys left and right, and the play regressed. Now, the reason I brought up Tua, and I will let you go as I say this. The reason I brought up Tua is someone reminded me today that Ryan Fitzpatrick was starting after Tua got benched as well. And what happened? Forget the concussion thing that we talked about earlier. Pretend that didn't exist for a second. What happened? Tua came back a better player. Ryan Fitzpatrick played. Tua sat. He learned. He grew up a little bit. And he came back a better player. Do I ultimately think the Panthers are going to trade Bryce Young to a team like, say, the Dolphins or somebody else before the trade deadline? No, I really don't. Because I think Andy Dalton is going to come in, stabilize the ship. I'm not saying the Panthers are going to go win 6, 7, 8 games all of a sudden. As a fan, I just want them to be more competitive than what they were the first 2 weeks. And I think they can do that right now with Andy. And Bryce is going to learn. And as Canales said, it's going to be week to week. So we don't know when Bryce will be back. But I do think he will be back at some point, but we don't know when that is. So ultimately, I agree with the decision as far as winning now, but then I also disagree when it comes to, I think we still got to let it marinate. We got to let it bake and see, is Bryce going to be the guy or is he not going to be the guy? And that's the part where I struggle with. So anyway, my question to you, how did you react and see this news? How did you take it in? And then number 2, if you were on the Panthers right now, if you were a tight end currently on the team, even though Bryce is a captain, hasn't lost the locker room, I talked to some people, that has not happened. He has not lost the locker room at all. Do you feel like this would be good for him to sit and learn a little bit and have this experience that he did not get in his rookie year? He was just thrown into the fire. Or is this only going to stunt his confidence, stunt his growth? Because like I've already said, that's the reason I think he's getting benched, is because he's not reading the field. The confidence is shot. And last year is just taking a big toll on him, and we've seen such a big regression in these first 2 games.
Yes, yeah. To answer your first question, yes, I do agree with the decision. And the reason why I agree with the decision is this. Coach Canales did not draft Bryce Young. He inherited Bryce Young. He didn't draft him. Usually it goes GM picks the head coach picks the quarterback. Usually. That's usually how it goes. Now, Coach Canales also knew taking the job when he was inherited, right? Now, you asked me if I was currently on the team, how would I react? What would I say to Bryce Young? I would go up to Bryce Young and I would tell him, listen, when it is your time to step back in there, I'm gonna do my part to help you, and we believe in you. And this is why I would do that, right? We talked about this before the show, Smitty. There's a trend going around the National Football League that these quarterbacks come straight out of college and they start game one. That's not a recipe for success. Because people say, well, they can't learn from sitting on the sideline. You don't think they can learn sitting on the sideline? Yeah. Remember Aaron Rodgers? How long did he sit on the sideline? Sit on the sideline about 3-4 years, right? Stepped in after Brett Favre. Remember Jordan Love? He had to wait on Aaron Rodgers, right? Phillip Rivers, in my draft class, had to wait on Drew Brees. Why am I saying that? A quarterback getting drafted number one. Meaning I might not be on the worst team in the NFL. I'm on the worst team from the previous year statistically, as far as like wins and losses. Andy Dalton stepping in is gonna do for Bryce Young what you said, like you talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick and company. Bryce Young has never had a chance to sit and watch. To see, I don't know how to play the quarterback position yet. Let me say this. I know how to play the quarterback position. I don't know what it takes. I've only been having people telling me hey man, this is what we see, this is what we see, this is what we see. And listen, I like Adam Thielen, I like Deontay Johnson, I like Jonathan Mingo and Xavier Legette. No one knows what it's like to be a quarterback but a quarterback. No one else knows. Coaches can talk to him all day. Andy Dalton was there to be a mentor. Problem was he hasn't played yet. People say, why is that important? Arguably, the second greatest Panther in Panthers history, right, is they won Steve Smith Sr. You know who was his mentor? Musa Muhammad, because Musa was the starter. He brought. You need somebody to show you, and Andy Dalton knows. Hey man, I know what I'm here to do. I know I'm here to mentor. Well, the problem was it's hard to mentor him when I didn't play. Now, it's one thing when the coach say, you see this, Bryce? See that, Bryce? Yeah. Now, Andy can say, no. This is what you mean by that. This is how you do that. Now, Andy Dalton had let me tell you, and people, I'm going to say this. Outside of going to the Super Bowl, Andy Dalton outplayed Joe Burrow when he was, as of right now, outside of Joe Burrow hasn't been good with Cincinnati. He's either hurt or he plays very, very, very iffy. Good player, but, anyway, I am happy with the decision because Coach Canales knew he was there. You pay coaches to manage the game and make tough decisions. He pulled Bryce to the side and said, Bryce, I don't know what your confidence level is because you've already played 19 games in the National Football League and you've won 2 of them. You played in 19. You played 17 last year, right? And you got 2 this year. Whatever he isn't doing, it's not all on him. There is a lot of blame to go around. The running game hasn't been there like you thought it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes.
Listen, the defense outside of Derek Brown, it's a lot. But because he is going to be the guy for the future, I do believe Bryce Young is going to be the guy. I want to give him something that because he knows this. Listen, go from the starter to the bench to the starter. You don't go back to the bench. Like you don't ask Cam Newton. You don't get to go back when you're that caliber of a player. But it's big news because of who it is. But I'm happy for Bryce Young because now he get to say, he get to breathe a little bit. Because Smitty, come on, man. What Cam Newton was able to do in Carolina, let me tell you why it's not fair to Bryce Young. All we try to talk about with Cam was when Cam was good. Because Cam did not have an in-between, just like Bryce. Cam was either really good or he was really bad. And I say that because Bryce Young is being compared to previous, they don't even talk about Jake Delhomme no more. This is what people need to talk about with the Carolina Panthers. In one season, The Panthers had Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Cam Newton came through that building. And
And Teddy Bridgewater had just left as well.
You had 2 number 1 overall picks and a number 3 overall pick. That's how the whole coming home with Cam, whatever. I just say for Bryce Young, this is the greatest thing that's going to happen to him because number 1, they're not benching you so you never play football again. They're not trading you like Mac Jones got traded away, from New England. They're just saying, hey man, the game is too fast for you right now, and we threw you into the fire because it was a feel-good pick because you look good in training camp. Of course you're going to look good in training camp. You're going to get scripted. They can't touch you. Stop playing with me. I'm happy for him, Smitty, because now when he comes back, okay, I've had a chance to kind of see it. Like you mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think that's a great analogy down there with Tua. Quarterbacks need time to see how the game is played. Throwing them out there, something we talked about before we jumped on here too. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams. 0 touchdown passes in week 1 and 2. None. 0. And here's the thing. As bad as people want to talk about Bryce Young, people haven't been listen. Will Levis, second year, playing awful. Might be
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Crazy. It's crazy. We'll get there. But I do agree with the decision. Only time will tell what will happen with his confidence because Smitty, I think confidence has to live between your ears, and you have to be your own self-motivator because it's not gonna come from the fans even when he comes back because they're gonna be like, okay, is it gonna be much of the same? We'll have to see.
Yeah. So just to put a loop and close this, listening to some talk radio today and different podcasts, again, it was reiterated that Bryce Young was the consensus number 1 quarterback for a lot of teams. We all know now Stroud is obviously better, but Bryce was drafted in a situation as of right now that simply was not conducive for him to have success, at least to start. And he had a little bit of poor play as well, and obviously we're here. But at the end of the day, here's my question, and to close this out. You've already answered this, but I'll just so the audience is the listeners like me who are Panther fans are clear on this. So if the Panthers were to finish with the number 1 overall pick for 2025, you are saying you were not going to select a quarterback. You were either drafting best player available outside of quarterback at 1, or you're trading that pick for a haul and getting some pieces around Bryce Young. Is that what I'm hearing essentially? Since you still think Bryce Young?
I mean, now if you get the number 1 overall pick again, I think you have to weigh all your options because that makes life. Because here's the thing: quarterbacks are a dime a dozen, man. It's hard to find a great one or even good one. It really, really depends on how Bryce Young finishes the season. Because once again, I'm gonna say this: Coach Canales did not draft him; he inherited him. And Smitty, I would say this: if you think Bryce is gonna be the guy, you get him some help or you get him some pieces. If you don't, number 1, look at what Chicago got. Look at what Chicago was able to do. When you talk about the whole, CJ Moore. I'm just saying DJ Moore. So I think you weigh our options. But here's the thing: we are already talking about the 2025 draft with 2 games in the 2024 season. I would say Bryce Young, when you're the number 1 overall pick, you will get an opportunity to have a career in the National Football League. If you don't become the franchise guy for the team that drafted you, it might be a journeyman. So, hey man, we'll see. But if you number 1 overall pick 2 years in a row, like the Jacksonville Jaguars were when they got Travon Walker 1 year, and obviously Trevor Lawrence the year before, I think got to weigh options because number 1 overall pick. I mean, how hard is it for those guys to actually pan out?
All right, that's fair. I just wanted to make sure that was said. Put you on the spot there for a second. Okay, no worries. All right, moving on now. Let's go to Will Levis. You mentioned that earlier. In case you didn't see this, Brian Callahan, head coach of the Tennessee Titans, your former team, Ben, I know. So this hits a little close to home to you. Will Levis had an egregious interception in week 1 against the Chicago Bears, pick 6. And then he had an egregious fumble against the New York Jets. And we are a family podcast, so I will not say what Brian Callahan said, but the clip essentially says, what the bleep are you doing? And he said this to Will Levis, and he went on to say that he's a grown man, he's a grown up, he knows better. I'm going to read exactly what he said. I was really irritated. He cost us 3 points in a game that we probably needed. So that's how head coaches talk, though, in the NFL, and I find that refreshing, especially to the media, because Will Levis, these guys. I mean, the NFL is a big boy business. It's $1 million business, and you either produce or you get shipped out. That's just the cold, harsh reality. And I didn't play in the NFL, but I know you did, so you can chime in on this. What did you think of those comments by Callahan and your reactions to and then, yeah, you can kind of go into what you were talking about earlier with the second-year quarterbacks and rookie quarterbacks like Levis, Williams, Stroud, or Jaden Daniels with the lack of touchdown passes and kind of starting right away. You can kind of expand upon that too.
I think Coach Callahan was being nice. I think he's still trying to grow into his role as a head coach. He's trying not to. He's trying to be honest about his quarterback to the media. He's not trying to, embarrass his starting quarterback. But come on, Smitty, man, come on, like really, like. I get it. Like I say, things are happening so fast out there. These quarterbacks, everybody trying to be Patrick Mahomes and make a play, right? Everybody trying to do this stuff. But when it don't work, you see how egregious it is? You're a game removed from just throw the ball away. Pick 6. So then against the Jets, you get sacked again. And I'm gonna roll the ball. Tony Pollard is like, what do you do? Look. Do you have to improvise at the quarterback position? Yes. Do those guys got to make things happen with their feet and their mind? Yes. But let's do football plays. Like, I get it. It's rough out there because them D linemen getting on you quick. People tell me they get Tua get the ball out. He got to. Oh, he getting hit. Will Levis made a throw against Sauce Gardner to Calvin Ridley that was beautiful. It was a touchdown. It was incredible. The safety couldn't get over there in time. So he can make all the throws. But Ryan Tannehill, gone. Malik Willis, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be playing them this week, Green Bay. Yep. Will Levis is not getting better week by week when it comes to the mistakes. And here's the thing, Smitty, once again, I can live with the mistake as long as it's football. That stuff he's doing, Coach Callahan wrong. I feel like, dude, it's almost like, what are you doing? Listen, Smitty, you went to the first game. You in New Orleans. You watching, Bryce Young in person. There are times you going, what are you? Like when you get to the point where you can't even finish, we say what. Listen, on any given Sunday, whatever team you root for, you saying what are you doing at least 10 times a game. But usually it's not for the same player doing the same thing. Will Levis did the same thing 2 weeks in a row. It's just one time, it's just like, dude, what are you? Callahan is like, bro, like I just talked to you about this. And that's what's so frustrating. It's like, dude, because even the commentators like, what is he doing? Exactly. And then want to come to the sideline. And then when you end up losing the game, you start Will Levis is not the reason why you lost the game, but those type of plays, man. 2 block punts 2 weeks in a row. That has nothing to do with Will Levis. That's special teams. So, and, Will, listen, get it together. Because here's the thing. You're 0-2, right? Against a Chicago team that just lost to Houston. Houston is 2-0. If Malik Willis win this week, a guy they shipped away, that kind of stuff hurts Will Levis because they said, dude, we got rid of this dude because we thought you were the guy. Both guys went a second round back-to-back years. But you talked about it. These first-year and second-year quarterbacks. First year in Jaden Daniels, Bryce Young, Bo Nix. No touchdown passes in 2 weeks. Now, in Bo Nix' defense, outside of Cortland Sutton, I don't even know who played for Denver. Like, I know I said it I just don't. Jaden Daniels, and I'm going to say this, Jaden Daniels is slippery. He's making a lot of plays with his feet. He ain't going to make it 17 games. He's not. He's slim like Lamar Jackson. Listen to me. Every time a quarterback get hit, count how many seconds it take him to get off the ground. Jaden Daniels, with him trying to make plays, being the Heisman Trophy winner, He won't make it 17 games like that. Anthony Richardson. His supporting cast, they ain't supporting him. All them drop passes be ridiculous. Now I get it. That he had 3 interceptions yesterday. With one of them being a Hail Mary. It's rough on him. We talked about CJ Stroud, right? We talked about CJ. Let me tell you what CJ has that no one else has. CJ has a team around him. Not just a running game, not just a passing game, not just defense, not just all of that. All of that. And CJ Stroud, he goes, look, man, you put me in a position where I can make plays and I don't have to be the number one playmaker. You win games. Now, I had to win the division because right now, the best quarterback in the AFC South is CJ Stroud. Number two, I would probably put Anthony Richardson. Who would I put? And the only reason why I'm putting Trevor Lawrence 3 is because Will Levis with the Titans. I don't even know what Trevor Lawrence. So all I'm saying is, when it comes to these quarterbacks, the hardest thing for them is they have to have around them. The first thing they got to have, right? They got to have a coach, aka a team. Got to have a nice, a nice offensive weapons because CJ Stroud, he makes mistakes, but he gonna make up for it with his play. But Tank Dell and those guys, and what's the other kid he got, number 12? The big
Nico Collins.
Listen, I did not know Nico Collins. Nico Collins might be the best receiver in the AFC South. Sorry, Michael Pittman. Sorry, D Hop. Sorry, Calvin Ridley. This kid, you can't. And I didn't know he was 6'4". But to those quarterbacks, though, even not to get off topic, I think the thing about it is, Smitty, you realizing real fast. Even if they got a supporting cast like Caleb Williams, he a rookie though, right? Jaden Daniels, he got. Scared Terry. He got, and then he got a Zach Ertz up there. I didn't even know Zach Ertz up there in the nation's capital. I just think that for these quarterbacks, they're going to have to make it up in their mind that no one cares, if they don't do well. Because people ready to pounce on them. And I know this is off topic too. Jets fans, please come. Please. Y'all beat the Titans. And you barely did that. You barely beat the Titans with Aaron Rodgers, with that defense.
Yep.
And I know, and I ain't gonna get on interest yet. I know it's a bunch of. We're gonna probably talk about a bunch of them, but hey, with them quarterbacks, Bryce Young should not be the only quarterback being. You know who else probably should have been benched when the season started? Probably Anthony Richardson. Not because
I was gonna say Will Levis, but I don't know if they have one.
Listen, who's Will Levis? Is Mason Rudolph Will Levis back up or something? Don't even look it up.
I think you're right. Actually, I think you're right.
And Smitty, listen to me. Listen. Okay. I'm a Falcons fan, born and bred. God, got drafted by the Titans, played for the Bucks, played for the Raiders. Gardner Minshew. You want to know what happens when you believe in a player? Gardner Minshew beat the Ravens down by 10 points in the fourth quarter. Beat the Ravens.
Talk about it.
I'm just saying, man. Shout out to Gardner Minshew, man, a journeyman who's found a place for himself in the National Football League, finding a way to get it done. Lamar Jackson. Hey, man, y'all was up by 10 points and lost to the Raiders. And listen, if you look, Devontae Adams made a play on the sideline. They call it Smooth Criminal. If you've ever seen the Michael Jackson video Smooth Criminal, when he's leaning, please go look at that catch. Devontae Adams still finding a way to get it done. But no, man, it's week 2. I don't want to go too crazy, but Will Levis gonna drive me crazy. Smitty, as much as you should be frustrated with Bryce Young, and you should, Bryce Young ain't got a supporting cast. Will Levis got Calvin Ridley. He got D Hop, right? He got Chiwoziem Okonkwo. He got Tony Pollard. He got Harold Landry. He got Jeffrey Simmons. He got Quandre Diggs. Jamal Adams is a backup on our defense. He got Snead over there at cornerback. It ain't no excuse. And he's rolling balls to people. Man, stop that, man. Callahan wanted to go crazy that, but somebody said the cameras on you. Cameras on. All right. If a coach runs out on the field to a quarterback like he a reliever, like give me Vaughn. It's like, man, like, come on, Will. Like, it's like this. What is you week 2? You're supposed to do this kind of stuff as a rookie. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear no nonsense.
Yeah. Well, let's get to some of those injuries, as you said. I'll rapid fire some of these and just react accordingly. Deebo Samuel, latest blow to the 49ers, it seems, after McCaffrey was officially put on injured reserve. He'll be missing up to mid-October, and looks like next month. Deebo Samuel, now the latest blow for the 49ers. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, it might be going on IR with an ankle injury. He'll be out multiple weeks. As we already know, Puka Bakua is also on IR. The Rams, I think, take the cake as the most banged-up team in the league. Pacheco is now out 6 to 8 weeks. Isaiah Pacheco for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And Kareem Hunt just worked out for the Chiefs today, trying to get back maybe to his old stomping grounds there. And then finally, we got Joe Mixon, which the Texans submitted a play to the league saying that he got injured by the hip drop tackle, which was banned. And D'Amico Ryans was not cool with that, obviously. And obviously, Joe Mixon was not either. So all of those injuries, and then the one that I just popped up here, Patriots linebacker Jawan Bentley tore his pec, totaled more than 100 tackles each of the last 3 seasons for the Patriots. He might be missing the rest of the season. So those are some of the latest injuries around the league.
And Jermaine Johnson, Thursday night, I think he's might have tore his Achilles with it. I'm sorry, not Thursday night, yesterday.
That's right. Yes,
might have tore his Achilles. And look, the thing about these injuries, most of the injuries you just reported are players that are well known in the National Football League. When somebody goes out for the season, IR has changed. IR used to be the whole season. Now it's 4 games because there's so many games in the season. But you mentioned it, Pacheco, Cooper Kupp. No Aaron Donald. That team was going. Listen, when Cooper Kupp is not on an offense, or Puka, or when they ain't out there, it's. And I love Matthew Stafford, but I'm just saying, like, some of these players are wear and tear. You know what hurts players the most is this: Thursday night football is not good. You just played on Sunday, you got to turn around and play again on Thursday. The National Football League is where the best players in the world reside. Man, we need to be a little bit more, cognizant of what be going on. But yeah, man, to all those players, and Tua, once again, I know take your time, sir. Take your time. Because now every time Tua runs on the field, Smitty, it's gonna be must-see TV. Or every time he scrambles to get hit. So when praying for all those guys, man, a person's been on IR, it sucks. It sucks bad. And I played in the league when IR was IR. When they put you on IR, you're done. Like, ain't no coming back to, 4 games into the season, which I don't really know how I feel about that either. Because if you injured, you injured. If you just hurt, for 4 weeks. So all these rules.
Yep. And then I missed one. AJ Brown also expected to be out a couple of weeks. He's currently not playing right now in the Monday Night Football game against the Falcons with a hamstring injury. 7-3 at the 2-minute warning. Philadelphia is beating Atlanta so far on Monday Night Football in that game. Let's get to some overreactions now. We did some injuries. We did some transactions. Let me get to some overreactions before we go into some slated games and some other things you want to talk about. Let's start with the 0-2 teams. Give me, of the 9 teams that are winless, give me the one that you believe will have the best chance of turning it around this season. I will not. I'll give you the 9.
I already know who I already got them.
Okay, go ahead.
The Ravens. I mean, there is 0% chance that the Ravens are not going to turn this thing around. It's crazy that they are 0-2. They had a chance. They obviously they should have won yesterday. But Harbaugh and company, they'll find a way to, that's what 17 games kind of help you do. It's so many freaking games. You could be 0-2. I don't know about 0-3 and 4, but I think the Ravens got a really, really good shot to go out there, turn this thing around. And another team too, and maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I don't know. The Bengals. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on. Like, we talked about this.
That's not a hot take.
I'm just saying, like, the thing about the Bengals is we just expecting Joe Burrow to just be. It's almost like we expecting him to be what Joe Burrow is, a really, really good quarterback. Let me not trip. He is. But Joe Burrow, since the Super Bowl now, he been okay. He ain't done nothing to make you go crazy. But I think that's what it is, Smitty. Are we living in the past with Joe Burrow thinking because he went to the Super Bowl in the second year, because he got hurt? Is it because he's been to a Super Bowl? Because This is a total different team. No Joe Mixon, still got T. Higgins. I think he's still injured. Jamar Chase, but are we living in the past when it comes to super cool Joe? Because I'm not getting it.
Yeah. All right. So your answer would be the Bengals and the Ravens.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you which of those teams has no hope. We know it's probably either the Giants or the Panthers. We know that answer, so we'll keep the train.
And if the Giants played the Panthers today, I would go with the Panthers. I think the Panthers are a better football team than the New York Football Giants for the simple fact that with all that star power they got on defense, what star power you has? Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence. They just lost to the Commanders, and I'm talking about. And Jaden Daniels did not throw a touchdown.
Yeah, Panther fans, Brian Burns still did not do much for the Giants again this week. I think 3 total tackles for the Commanders, no sacks, or against the Commanders rather. Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep the train moving. Lucky for you and the rest of the NFL, we do get that game in Munich on November the 10th, Week 10, Giants Panthers. The Munich fans in Germany have to suffer through that one. The Giants and Panthers playing their way into the toilet bowl probably at that point. But we'll keep it moving. Let's switch gears to the 2-0 teams. Which of these teams, and this time I will read them to you so you can take your time. Who is the most surprising to you and is best set up for success? So that's my question. So we got Kansas City. We got Buffalo. We got the Houston Texans, the Tampa Bay Bucks, the New Orleans Saints, the Seattle Seahawks, the Minnesota Vikings, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give an answer for. You said who's the most surprising? The most surprising is Minnesota. I'm like, what? Sam Darnold? And they just beat San Francisco. So people say, oh, they didn't play no, but they beat San Francisco, right? On Sunday. And I know San Francisco is riddled with injuries. Who cares? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear last year.
It happened last year in Minnesota. McCaffrey played last year. It happened.
Now, the team and listen, and I'm gonna add the team that is also most surprised and built for success is the freaking Saints. What in the world is going on? Now, appreciate it. Listen, as a person, I can't stand the Saints. Let me go ahead and I can't stand them, but they did God's work on Sunday because they beat the evil empire known as Dallas Cowboys. You got to beat the evil empire. Got to do it. But the way they beat them, Dallas Cowboys cannot stop the run to save their life. If you want to beat Dallas, just run the ball. Go back to the NFC playoff game last year against Jordan Love and company, right? Aaron Jones just going crazy, owning AT&T Stadium. But I think it is the Saints because, let's face it, in the NFC South, that's really theirs. And, even though Tampa Bay is 2-0-2, I just like what they're doing on, Alvin Kamara. For those of you who don't know, this dude, he's one of the most underrated superstars in the league. This dude, I think he had like 6 touchdowns on Christmas Day one time. This dude is crazy good. But I would go my most surprising just is Vikings. Sam Darnold, shout out to him. But I will say the Saints, man, because they find a way to win games outside the division. You know what they're going to do probably within the division. So I would say the Saints and Minnesota.
Okay. Biggest story, now this is just off the cuff here. Biggest storyline from the first 2 weeks of the season. What is it?
Biggest storyline. I would say
player or team. Player or team.
Biggest storyline for the first 2 weeks of the season. I would have to go with, you know what? I know this is crazy, man. I know this is crazy because people are gonna be saying, "Oh man, it should." I think the biggest storyline for the first 2 weeks of the season is the freaking Cowboys for this reason right here. For this reason, people outside of Dallas, right, really be giving them all this love based on they're a publicity marketing machine in Dallas. Let's call it what it is. We're giving a pub right now, but I think the reason why it's the biggest storyline is because they don't lack stars. They got him everywhere. Michael Parsons is good enough to be considered the best defensive player in football, right? You got D-Law, right? You got Diggs. I mean, you got CD, you got Dak, you got Zeke. Nothing. I'm talking about nothing. Because, and the reason why I call it a big storyline is because the Dallas, listen, Kansas City is the best team in football because they got the best player. The team that, the poster child for the NFL is Dallas. Like, we talk about Dallas, the in season, out of season. And, I mean, I hate to say it, man, but the biggest storyline right now outside of that, man, it's freaking Bryce Young. Because the thing, because, and the reason why it is, Smitty, is because it's the timing, right? Because you could have just, now, I don't know how you did in the offseason, telling him, hey, man, we're going to start, Andy Dalton. But it's the biggest storyline right now because most of the time you just let that number one overall pick just play it out. You just let him keep going. But I think what they're trying to do, Smitty, is once again, they're not trying to kill his confidence with a team. Because when they take him out, now you really get to see what you got as a team. I like when Deontay, came and said, Johnson said, he gives us the best chance to win. Like he gives us the best chance. But them first 2 weeks, man, it's just it ain't the whole game. It's just he be doing things sometimes that you're going, dude, what is he looking like? What is he doing? Like it's like he's trying to improvise when sometimes the pocket is clean. Just sit in there. Don't run outside the pocket because you can, Bryce. Put yourself in harm's way. But I would go to Dallas Cowboys and outside of these big players with these injuries. These injuries, that's huge, man, because they pay to see the best players get out there and do it. You just mentioned Debo, C-Mac, Cup, Justin Jefferson. We'll see what's up with him. Joe Mixon, Pacheco. They dropping, man. They dropping like flies. But I would go to Dallas Cowboys, Bryce Young, and these injuries.
Okay. Let's pivot the other way. Through 2 weeks of the season, what are we not talking about enough? What is not getting the buzz, the storylines, the headlines? What are we not overreacting to? What are we underreacting to through the first 2 weeks?
We are underreacting to the fact that Pete Carroll is no longer in Seattle, right? They 2-0. He's no longer there. People that culture that he started, right? They're 2-0. And look, shout out to the Minnesota Vikings, man. Like, look. Oh, no. I know we're not reacting to enough. If Arizona don't completely blow it, they 2-0. If they don't blow up week one.
That was impressive against the Rams. I know they're injured, but that was impressive.
Listen, maybe we ain't talking about Kyler Murray enough, man. Throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Just throw it to him. 2 touchdowns, 130 yards. But I would say, definitely not talking about what's going on in Arizona and Minnesota, because Sam Darnold, let me get off of Sam Darnold a little bit, man. Cause you said it, Smitty. You kept saying, is it a change of scenery? Like, do they sometimes good player in the wrong system? He wasn't built for the Jet system. Sure was. I don't think anybody's built for Carolina system right now. We'll see if the Red Rifle can do it. We don't know. But going out there to Minnesota, man, with a Justin Jefferson, man, I mean, with Aaron Jones, with Jordan Addison, which I think he's injured right now, they find a way to get it done. They find a way to and look, I get it. They ain't sexy like, Baltimore or, hey, man, Pittsburgh, Justin Fields. That's another one, too. 2-0. I don't care. Yeah, it was against my Falcons, and I mean, they're gonna find a way. They find a way to make it interesting against the Denver Broncos. But shout out to Justin Fields, man. Finding a way that he wasn't slated to be the starter. Russell Wilson obviously really, really wanted to play against his old team. But shout out to them. Shout out to them Steelers. 2-0, man. Mike Tomlin. Outside of Andy Reid, I think he's the best coach in football. Find a way to get it done.
Yeah. Well, before we head into the games for week 3 and some of the results from week 2, let's just talk really quick. In the first half of this Eagles-Falcons game, it is now 7-6 at halftime. Eagles are winning over the Falcons by a point. I got this from ESPN.com here. Eagles 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit right now on Kirk Cousins at halftime. They're missing Hassan Reddick pretty
Yes,
badly right now.
yes.
And I mean, Josh Sweat, 24 snaps, Bryce Huff, 19, Brandon Graham, 12, and Nolan Smith, 8. 2 pressures among all 4 of those people. Yeah, I mean, this. Let me stick with really quick. Let me stick with Kirk Cousins here for a second. What did you make of the team saying he was healthy? You know, when he's playing in the pistol in week 1, and he's never played in the pistol under Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson has never called a game in the pistol. He is a Shanahan guy or McVay guy. That's not their system. And Cousins typically is under center, as he was in Minnesota and Washington for most of his career. Is he healthy? Is he favoring his Achilles? Which, don't get me wrong, I probably would favor it too had I just had surgery. So is Cousins healthy? And do the Falcons need to look at playing Michael Penix?
He's healthy enough, I guess, for them. You know, he's a veteran, meaning he ain't in a position to be lying about his health at this point. They'll be like, Kirk, can you go out there and get it done? And once again, we keep talking about this. That is how much they want Michael Penix to be able to watch. Do I think Michael Penix is going to play this year? Yep, I do. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be hurt either when he does play. But Kirk Cousins right now, I don't know how much of the offense he really knows, because every time he was under center, it was like some crazy stuff. I mean, they had a lot of pre-snap penalties last week, you know, getting guys lined up and almost getting delay of game penalties. I don't know if they got these super duper wordy play calls like Sean Payton. I don't know why. Listen, until those coaches that do that, you know, these Sean Payton, you know, give me 66, 75 quarter. Man, call the freaking play. Good Lord. Like, I mean, that doesn't make you smart, because we can call these little dumb plays. Drew Brees did it for like 30 years with New Orleans, but I think Kirk Cousins is healthy enough. Kirk Cousins need to find a way to get a big win, because the one thing we're saying about the Eagles is this: there are certain players that are so much of this offense. And when people say, "Hey man, what makes the Philadelphia Eagles offense go?" People gonna say Saquon Barkley. Like, it's AJ. AJ Brown is instant offense. He'll take a 5-yard hitch, 90 yards, depending on, you know, but hey man, right now it's 7-6, the most disappointing group in the National Football League on defense. One is in Dallas and the other one is in Philly. And I don't understand it. People think just give them give me Jalen Carter, give me Jordan Davis, give me Nicole Dean, give me Devin White, give me Darius Slade, give me John Zagano. Because you know who exposed them? Week 1, Jordan Love. Jordan Love was exposing them. I don't get it. All this star power and no hurries aren't sacks, people. Smitty, me and you could get a hurry. Now, it might take us all game to get one. I said, whoa, I ain't to get no sack. They're like, man, we need sacks. No, you don't, because they ain't getting sacks. Hassan Reddick is still he on the side of a milk carton. He still has not showed up to play for the Jets. And that's probably what we ain't talking about. I should have said. Hassan Reddick hasn't shown up for the Jets. Jermaine Johnson is out for the year, and they did not give him his money. The price just went up if you want Hassan Reddick to show up. But we'll see what happens with the second half of this game. But all that star power, Smitty, no production, and it is the Falcons. I was looking, I was going to the box score because I wanted to see how much my boy was balling. When I say my boy, I mean Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has 1 catch for 1 yard. How does a player that explosive and gifted and talented? Come on, man, 1 catch for 1 yard. I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson over there locking him up like that. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me.
Yeah. Let's get into briefly some of the week 2 results and preview the top week 3 games. You just talked about Jordan Love. Let's talk about the Packers getting that win without him over the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson. That was impressive. That was very impressive. I thought that stuck out. We already talked about the Arizona Cardinals thrashing of the Rams, and they might be the most injured team in the league. I think I said that already, and I think it's pretty true. And then the other game that stuck out to me was the Saints thrashing the Cowboys as well. The Eagle Empire, as you said, which we already talked about that a little bit. And then the Ravens, obviously, over the losing to the Raiders. Those were my games that stuck out for me. What were the results that stuck out for you?
I got to give. I do agree with the Packers and the Colts. I think Malik Willis. I was that guy that got drafted by the Titans. He's gone through a lot. Thought he was going to be the guy in Tennessee. Never ever really got a shot. When Coach Vrabel was the head coach, get shipped to the Packers in all season. Go through the whole preseason with the Titans. Get shipped over to the Packers. Big win. Wow. Arizona, man. It's like, man, like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a forgotten, young little superstar. He's not a superstar, young star. He's finding a way to get it done for a defense. They still got Buda Baker, on defense, and obviously they find a way to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball, and they was able to get a big dub, against a team like they just banged up real bad, and the Raiders, coming back in the fourth quarter, the Raiders had, I think they was like on like 15, and when they in the fourth quarter down by double digits. Gardner Minshew, man, finding a way to get it done. Brock Bowers is really a standout tight end. I think he's already a top 10 tight end in the National Football League, being a rookie, which what he means to that offense. And, the Saints just doing God's work. I don't like to give the Saints too much love, but, I be feeling like Stephen A. Smith, man. And let me say this. It ain't the Cowboys players. It's Jerry Jones and the fans. Jerry Jones, who do more interviews than players do, more interviews than coaches and GMs. Jerry Jones do more interviews than his son, Steven, who the president, who ain't allowed to talk to the freaking media. But yeah, the Cowboys getting, thrashed. And hey man, Arizona finding a way, what I'm saying? They could easily be 2-0 right now.
Yeah. Week 3 starts this Thursday with Patriots Jets. I will not waste my time on that game. We'll keep it moving. With much all due respect to those teams. Let me hear your top games for this week. I'll give you mine here in short order. Texans Vikings, 2-0 teams. That's going to be a great one in Minnesota. Assuming the Eagles hold on over your Falcons, 2-0 Eagles versus the 2-0 Saints. If the Saints can do that again against the Eagles, if they can put up 40 for a third week in a row on the Eagles in the Superdome, I think people are going to start coming around on the New Orleans Saints. If they can put 40 burger up on the Eagles in week 3. And what was my last game here? I get it. Steelers are not that sexy, but they're playing the Chargers. They're both 2-0. So those are the matchup of the 2-0 teams for week number 3, the games that stick out in my mind. And if I had to go with one, not 2-0 versus 2-0, I would say 49ers Rams 425 game. It's first divisional game for both those teams. Rams are seriously hurt. 49ers are still without McCaffrey. Now we know they'll be without Samuel as well going into this first division game. That's a big game for both of those teams. 2 of the teams expect to be at the top of that division at the end of the year.
I mean, it's my games of the week. I mean, my week 3 games. I'm Texans and the Vikings. You got 2-0 versus 2-0. Texans got to go up there to the Vikings. A sneaky good Vikings team right now, in my opinion. Not getting enough love. Packers Titans. This isn't sexy, but here's the thing. Malik Willis get to come back to Tennessee. Y'all didn't want me? Cool. Y'all wanted him. Y'all wanted Will over Malik. Well, let's see. The Pack versus Titans. I'm looking forward to that. But here's a game, man, that I think not a lot of people are talking about, but I think it's going to be sneaky good. The Steelers and the Chargers. Both 2-0. Harbaugh started off his career back in the NFL. 2-0. Justin Herbert found a way to get it done without his cast of characters. Justin Fields found a way to get it done, man. It's ugly, but they getting the big one. Block TJ Watt if you don't block him. And my game of the week, though, Ravens at the Cowboys. I mean, Ravens 0-2. They get to go on the road.
Can't go 0-3 for the Ravens. Got to win this one.
I'm just saying. Listen. A motivated Lamar Jackson. Hey man,
gotta win this one if you're the Ravens.
I know people always say, "Is it really must win? Is it week 3?" Yes, because every week is a must win unless you play for the Falcons.
Another game that I just noticed it as I scrolled up, sneaky good, is Lions Cardinals. Lions coming off that loss last week.
Kyler Murray.
Let's talk about Dan Campbell. You saw what he said, how he feels like he blew the game for his team and just not good enough. I actually appreciate the kahunas when coaches get up there and they take accountability, they take responsibility, and they say that they let the team down today, and we're going to get back on the field and as soon as possible. We're going to get going once again. So I do appreciate when the accountability falls with the coaches and they take that.
Dan Campbell is really he's really taking on the heart and soul of that city. If you ever been to Detroit, man, doesn't mean it's a great city. And they love their Lions, they love their Pistons, they love their Tigers. And I think the thing about Dan Campbell is he's not an excuse maker. He wasn't an excuse maker when he was a player. He wasn't an excuse maker when he was an assistant coach. Then when then became a head coach down there with the Dolphins. What I like the most about Dan Campbell is he's got his players to believe in what he's selling. Because good teams, listen, a coach is a seller. The players are the buyers. They got to buy what you're selling, man. They have to. They buying what he's selling. Should be a good one. Listen, Aiden Hutchinson in a losing effort had 5 sacks on Sunday. Block him. If you're Arizona, block number 97 because he's coming.
Yeah. Let's talk about a few other quarterbacks. In which, since with the news about Bryce Young today, I'm just going to give you some quarterbacks. We already talked about Will Levis, so I won't mention him. I'm going to talk about the quarterback. You tell me, does he need to get benched? Do they keep him going for the foreseeable future, or how long is his leash? Let's start with the obvious one, Deshaun Watson. They're playing the Giants this week in Cleveland. Giants 0-2. Cleveland lucky to get the dub against Jacksonville in week 2. They're 1-1. Deshaun Watson and we'll say let's say Daniel Jones as well. So both of those quarterbacks facing off this week. What's those leashes like on those teams?
I think Daniel Jones, he do got Malik Neighbors. He got Neighbors up there. He can find a way to get him to rock. The thing about Deshaun Watson is they're gonna play him because they pay him so much money. And 2 reasons why they're gonna play him. One, they got a bunch of money. His backup is Jameis Winston. That's the backup up there in Cleveland, right? Do I think Jameis Winston is going to be a better quarterback in that system than Deshaun Watson? Yes, because one is mobile and the other one is not. Jameis Winston is not mobile. He sits in the pocket. I think Deshaun Watson is they giving him. He won on Sunday. Was it because of him? No, but he did win. I don't think you bench him. I think you got to give you a reason to bench him. Now he looked like he looked week 1 and week 3. We might be talking, but once again, though, Smitty, with these contracts, man, they making so much freaking money. Listen, do I think a contract should be a validator as to why a player plays? No, but I'm also not a GM. I'm also not an owner. I'm also not a head coach. But yeah, I think you playing. You see what happens. Unfortunately, like I said, the same way. When we talk about how these quarterbacks need more time, Deshaun Watson spends too much time away. He spent too much time away from the game, and I think that we just waiting on that Houston magic to show up. I don't think he's that player anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of Jameis Winston, former top pick as well. So just like Bryce, just like Caleb, you just never know in the NFL. As the NFL is a week-to-week league, as some of the guys call it, and it really is because one injury, one suspension, whatever it might be, it really is a week-to-week league as we go, through the league. Okay, this next one, we talked about Kirk Cousins a little bit, but let me give you another one. Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones is now the backup in Jacksonville, former New England Patriots first-round pick, and he is now up there backing up Mac Jones. They got the Bills on Monday Night Football next week in Buffalo. Jags are staring at 0-3. Bills are at 2-0. If they start 0-3, does Mac Jones get a shot here? Again, just got his contract. This is the What are your thoughts?
I don't think Mac Jones get a shot. But here's the thing, right? I'm gonna give you a stat. I'm gonna show, and I don't know what made me go look at this. So Evan Ingram hurt his, he hurt he tweaked his hamstring and like pregame wasn't able to play. Christian Kirk for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the season, I think he has one catch for like 29 yards on the season.
Yeah.
I just think that I just listen to these post game press conferences. I heard what Trevor Lawrence said. Not Trevor, Travis Etienne. He said, "Listen, man, talent ain't enough." He said, "I get so sick of hearing about how talented we are. That ain't good enough. And everybody talented. We got to find a way to win games, man. Don't nobody want to hear about, oh, we got this and we got that, we got this. Who cares? Are we winning? Because that's what makes it worse. Trevor Lawrence is just like Joe Burrow, in my opinion. They expect him to be like he looked in Clemson. Trevor Lawrence is very hot and cold. When he's hot, he's hot. But he makes decisions in the pockets like Will Levis. They're coming out of their end zone. And he's just holding the ball. So he got sacked for a safety. He got sacked for a safety. Because Myles Garrett did what he's supposed to do. I'm gonna make that tackle. I'm gonna flush you up in the pocket. They're gonna freaking D tackle and he gets sacked. I'm just saying, Mac Jones ain't gonna play because they paying Trevor Lawrence $55 million. Yeah, they go. Yeah, I mean he's doing all he can for Mac Jones to play. But sorry, Mac. You know what I'm saying? 55. They got 55 million reasons in Jacksonville to play Trevor Lawrence at this point.
Well, thanks for playing. I thought we'd play that just since with the Bryson news today, kind of overreacted.
Now hold on. Now, I will say this now. Doug Peterson, yes, Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagle coach Doug Peterson. Your job is on the line, sir. They brought you in because anybody can coach better than Urban Meyer in the NFL. I ain't talking about Urban Meyer at Florida and Ohio State. I'm talking about Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. So Doug Peterson, they brought you in. Remember this. This is the same Doug Peterson that let Trevor Lawrence stay in the game, who threw 5 interceptions in the first half in the playoffs, but they was playing Justin Herbert in the Chargers. The same Doug Peterson who in 2023, y'all trying to win against my Titans on the road, and it was fourth and goal. And instead of handing the ball off to Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence tried to jump over the pile, fumbled the ball, game over. Trevor Lawrence has done a lot. Smitty, one of these shows, we just going to talk about what is a real franchise quarterback and what is a guy you gave a bunch of money to. Because what is going on now, some of these quarterbacks are benefiting from the salary cap and the position that they played, Trevor Lawrence being one of them. Somebody's going to give him that money. Fortunately, with Jacksonville, but I don't know. Did he earn the contract? Maybe. I don't know if he earned it or not, but he kind of proven Deshaun Watson, if you took Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence and you switched their numbers and their colors on each team, you couldn't tell the difference right now. Both of them are in the top 5 as far as like earnings.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, you just opened the door for me, so I'm gonna come in. Okay, this is, as a former player, I know you didn't play quarterback, but I know you read the headlines, you played in the league. So let's talk about the quarterbacks and the contracts really quick. I think there's a misconception that people talk about, the market, and the next quarterback is just the next one to get the bag and all this, that, the other. Let's be real here. Is there a middle tier? Like, because Daniel Jones, as we know, should not have gotten what he got. Now, granted, he's not being paid top money in the NFL. We all know that. But if you're on, there should be like a Patrick Mahomes level, and then there should be a tier 2 level, pretty much all the other elite guys here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there needs to be guys like Daniel Jones. I can't think off the top of my head. But those guys type level, like starters that are in his like range. There shouldn't be this whole, just because you're playing quarterback, you're entitled to make this much money. Now, this is my opinion, obviously, but why? why? I mean, people say the market. Is it really that simple?
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, the quarterback is one. He's one player. It's one
Yep.
player.
Yep.
I get it. It's the most important position on the field because he touches the ball every time. I get it. But at the same time, it's mind-numbingly frustrating to me to see some of these guys get the money that they get that, quite frankly, they just haven't deserved it.
Okay. When did what draft? Let's see. Trevor Lawrence got drafted in 2021. Daniel Jones got drafted in 2019. Right? Right now, let's see. 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 24. That's so one's a year 6, one's a year 4. Right now, Daniel Jones stats. He has 12,876 yards. He has 64 touchdowns. He has 42 picks. Right now, Trevor Lawrence has 12,152 yards. He has 59 touchdowns, 39 picks. That's essentially the same player. Now, I know they're 2 years apart. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I don't like about the quarterback situation. Quarterbacks get it because of the position first, how they play second. I'm going to say that again. They get it because of the position first, how they play second. How do I know that? How did Deshaun Watson get his money? He was out of football 2 years. He got his money based off potential. Here's the thing about potential is supposed to be two things. It's supposed to be something you've shown and something you're doing. It's something you've shown. Daniel Jones had an outlier year, and they gave him that money. Trevor Lawrence had a good year. They gave him his money. All the number. If you are a first-round quarterback going to the top 10, all you have to do, or top 15, all you have to do is not fall off a cliff, and you're going to get your big money. Jalen Hurts, you know how he got his money? He went to a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, you know how he got? Not Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson, you know how he got his money? He won 2 MVP. He won 1 MVP, got his money. Then he won an MVP last year. How did Justin Herbert get his money? He threw for a bunch of yards, bunch of touchdowns. He ain't won. Joe Burrow been to a Super Bowl, right? Joe been to a Super Bowl. Here's how the money's supposed to work. Remember Geno Smith? Got drafted second round to the Jets, didn't really work out. Go out there, end up becoming a starter. See what he's made for Seattle. Remember Baker Mayfield? Get drafted by the Cleveland Browns, end up with he was over there with the Carolina Panthers. He was out there with the Rams. Landed in Tampa. Won the division last year. Kyler Murray got his money based off of what? See, Kyler Murray got his money. Kyler Murray is on coach number 3. He's on coach number 3. Got drafted by a coach. Cliff Kingsbury come in, get rid of him. Got his money, right? Dak got his money. He's earned it. He earned his money. He earned every dime of it. Kirk Cousins has made more money than most of those guys I just mentioned. Kirk Cousins got drafted, same draft as RG3. I think he got drafted in the 4th or 5th round. He played on his rookie deal for 3 years. Became the starter. He did his franchise tag 2 years in a row. I think that was 25 mil. Goes to Minnesota, fully guaranteed contract. Twice. He did it twice. Now he gets 180 million. Is he worth that? No. I just said it's the position you play first, what you do with it second. Kirk Cousins got $180 million. To do what? I know you said to do what? Hand the ball off to Bijan. Can't see Kyle Pitts. Won't even throw to Drake London. Every other position, you got to go out there and earn it. And I'm not saying quarterbacks get paid because of their importance. People say that's not. People say why? Because I give you the Super Bowl 2023 or last season. Brock Purdy, 4th and goal on the 6-yard line, and they kick the field goal to give it to who? The best player in the world. Who in that Super Bowl? Kansas City. And I'm trying to tell you, these quarterbacks is such a huge drop-off. Trevor Lawrence got his money because he was the number 1 overall pick, and they think that his best years are ahead of him. I don't believe it. Justin Herbert got his money. He's been to 1 playoff game. He lost to who? Trevor Lawrence. He got his money, right? And quarterbacks are going to get their money. They're going to get their money because at the end of the day, Smitty, quarterbacks are it's the hardest position to find in football because 6 positions in football don't come off the field. That's the quarterback and the offensive line. The problem is We think that because you were starting in the National Football League, that means that you built to do what you're doing. No, I don't want an all right quarterback, right? It's too many okay quarterbacks. When people listen, Josh Allen, top 5. Lamar Jackson, top 5. Patrick Mahomes, top 5, right? CJ Stroud, top 5. People talking about Joe Burrow, don't do that. Dak Prescott, I think he's top 5. He didn't have a good game last game. I just think that outside of the top 10, maybe the top 8, you can mix number 9 to 32 in a pie and just pull them out because they play okay. It's like Sam Darnold, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's an okay quarterback. Derek freaking Carr is a starter in the league. Gardner Minshew, starter in the league. So I don't know. It's like being a pitcher in baseball. Man, ain't too many people can throw 90 miles an hour, man. I don't care how you feel. I mean, I'm saying, people, what? Listen. Manny Rivera was who he was because of who he did it for. Would he have been considered the greatest closer in baseball if it's not for the Yankees? No, because we don't get to see him. But when it's for the Yankees, he's the greatest because he did it for. I'm a Braves fan now. That's the evil.
Yep.
The Yankees are the evil empire. That's another whole show. I'm just saying. But I just think for us, Smitty, we need to get used to this. Quarterbacks are going to get their money because of the importance of the position, not how they play it. I'm going to say because of the importance first, the position second. Because think about this. Patrick Mahomes signed that money. Ain't nobody said a word. What he signed for, $500 million? They could have gave him $1 billion. And no one's going to say a word. But Josh Allen never beaten him. Lamar Jackson never beaten him. You know who's beating him? Joe Burrow. And had a chance to beat him on Sunday. So I don't know, man. I just because guess what? And I hate to say it, if Will Levis finds a way to end up playing halfway decent this season, and he plays again good next season, he's gonna get big money. Because guess what? The salary cap keeps going up, and who makes the biggest dent? The 3 positions that make it used to be 2. It used to be 3 and 4. The 4 positions that make the biggest dent in free agency is quarterback, left tackle, cornerbacks, defensive ends. They'll blow. So, hey man, like I say, Sam Darnold's trying to do what Baker Mayfield just did, what Geno Smith just did. He has a good year with Minnesota. He's gonna sign. Listen, he'll sign for $200 million. $200 million. If they gave a 36-year-old coming off an Achilles tear $180 million, Sam Darnold was like, they gave him what? I'm 25. If 36 can get 180, 26 can get 280. Hey man, shout out to the quarterbacks, man. Quarterbacks and baseball players and basketball players, they live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get you out of here on last one for you. What do you think? Let's make a prediction. Who do you think we're going to be overreacting to next week? What is your prediction for next week? What are we going to be overreacting to? It can be a game, a headline, a player, what have you. What do you think we're going to be overreacting to? Listen,
we're going to be overreacting to the Ravens Cowboys either way. Because if the Ravens lose, they on 3. Oh, God. And if the Ravens win, the Dallas Cowboys. Because the Dallas Cowboys, they was undefeated at home last year. That's already been broken up. I think I think we're gonna be reacting to that. And hey man, the Panthers. Because listen. So you're saying that Bryce is the problem because you're getting him out of there. We got it. He better be. Because you're putting Dalton. You're putting Andy Dalton in. Because now because now Smith, you go okay. Got some years on him. Now let's see. But before I get out of here though, I know what the biggest thing I didn't talk about. The New England Patriots could easily be 2-0 right now. They took Seattle to overtime. They took Seattle to overtime, and they should have, you know what I'm saying? They could easily. So Gerard Mayo, man, congratulations on what you're doing. Hey, but I tell you what, go out there and tell them Jets, hey man, y'all, Aaron Rodgers. Who's that? He wants to be famous. He don't want to go.
Yeah. Well, that'll wrap up this episode of Winning the Division, episode number 4. If you're not in the division, you're either winning the division or you're in the division. Find us on YouTube at Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube page /Tobacco Radio. You can also find us on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network and the Fans First Sports Network, wherever you get your podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. This is Winning the Division.